This episode of Organically Blunt, we dive into the story of Madman Plant and why the mask came off. We're going to dive into mental health, home growing, and advocacy of the plant. So let's all join him as we go inside the tent and see the mask that came off. I think we have a little buffering here. I apologize for that. Our internet was out yesterday, so welcome to the show, Madman Plant, and I'm sorry that it was buffering.
Oh, you're fine, dude. Thanks for having me. I appreciate being here.
Definitely. You know, we've been off for a while, guys, and this is the start to our 4th season. And I figured Madman Plant has a good story, and he's always got a lot going on. So I wanted to bring him to the show and basically show you guys who he is with the mask off. And with that being said, you know, I want to dive right into things with you. And what inspired you to remove the mask to show your true self to the audience here?
Well, it's a great question. Pretty much everything has been in stages with my platform. When I first started growing in Virginia, it was illegal to grow. And I have a video background and I do video production for a living. So obviously making content is something that I really love doing. It's something I do well at. And I put on the mask to protect myself, but also be able to start my journey in content. I used to have a voice changer before the mask.
Oh, wow.
Then part of the mask was because when I first started, I had the whole secrecy type thing going on because it was legal. When it became legal, it became more about, it wasn't about me, it was about what I had to show. And being black and white, it meant that it was for everybody, not just one person or demographic or whatever. So that was for a while. And then the reason I took it off was mainly because I am doing a lot in the community and there's a lot of things that I have done. And it's one of those things where, you know, one, I just got tired of wearing it because it itches when it's 90 degrees out. You know, I almost die in it. And there's a lot of times where I want to make content and I'm like, well, fuck, I don't have a mask on. So I was just like, you know what, it's just going to be so much easier to make content on the fly, just be able to be free of it and do my thing. So this year, it's my whole tour of quote-unquote transparency, which is me taking off the mask and just being myself.
Absolutely. That's amazing. You know, and that's probably improved your mental health slightly, I would bet, too. I'm sure it had some kind of a little bit of an impact on that.
I'm not sure if it had an impact on the mental health. I think really what it did is it allowed the people who do follow me to see me for who I am. And I think hopefully that'll bring a more authentic and genuine approach to the platform that'll help people feel engaged and want to be engaged because now they know.
Absolutely. You know, not that I'm not going to throw any other names under the bus, but I got a friend that is a creator that kind of went through the same thing, but he ended up completely stopping because he went to an event and he used his home accent and he didn't use it at the event. He spoke like we are now without the accent, and a couple fans heard him and they were like, wow, it's like going to Disneyland and finding out it's not real. And after that, he just kind of disappeared. And I'm like, man, you know, You got to kind of be true. And that's amazing that you're doing that for your audience and your fan base, because, you know, they kind of need to determine who you are. And it's great that you built a brand that accepts you for who you are when you took it off, because that when they were, a lot of them were probably introduced to you, you wore it. So they got used to that type of person, but you haven't changed up who you are. So that's what makes you so great in this community.
I appreciate that. Thank you for saying that. You know, one of the biggest things is being authentic and being genuine and being able to have a platform that is, you know, not paper thin and actually has a foundation that's actually based on something. And, you know, to those people out there who fly by night when shit goes wrong, that's a little bit on them. You know, it's one of those
Right.
where when I used to have the mask, when I walked around the venues and events like last year when I was traveling, when I was walking around, I had the mask off. When I'm at the booth, I had the mask off. When I was doing content, I had the mask on. So most people were meeting me throughout the year with the mask off. It was just when I went to content. So there was like a percentage of people who actually know what I look like, and then there was a percentage of people who didn't. And kind of like what you were saying, where some people would be like, "Man, it's great to meet you," but I really was hoping I get to meet you with the mask on. Or I get the opposite and say, "Hey, it's so great to meet you. I feel privileged to meet you with the mask off." So it was like they were both positives, but there were different perspectives on everything.
Absolutely. You know, I mean, I remember back when we did our first show together, you know, when you took the mask off when we were off camera, I did not expect your identity to be who you are.
Oh, really? Well, um, tell me what do you mean? Like, did you expect me to be um, like blue hair, you know,
I'm
instead of
not even
pink
sure.
hair?
I'm not even sure, to be honest. It's just like, you know, the voice didn't match the identity at first until I got to know you as a person.
Nice. Most people, even with the mask on, say I sound like Steve-O. So
You
that's what
do,
I
you
get a
do.
lot. Yeah.
Yep. And that's cool, you know, because he also went through a lot of recovery himself, you know, and he's got a story too, you know. We all do. And that dives me into, you know, mental health with you. And I know you're a big advocate for mental health and the plant and the advocacy behind it. So if we could dive into what you got planned in this coming 2025 year, and where some of these people might be able to catch up with you at, and what you got planned, I'd love to hear more.
Okay, well, with mental health, obviously that's the forefront of Madman Plant and the focus on everything we do. You know, mental health, home growing, and ultimately smoking. Right now, I don't know if you saw my latest podcast with Tristan. He's the young adult who shot himself in the face and has also become a good friend of mine in just a matter of honestly weeks. I found him online, and he has a great story. And I've been working with him on some things to help him with his brand. I've also been working with a lot of different people in the community when it comes to mental health. I have a LGBTQIA panel on the 9th where I'm using my platform as a safe space. It's not a politics, it's not left, right, good, bad, or indifferent. It's the thought that when we're cannabis users, we want our community to be understood and respected by those who don't see the value of cannabis, right? Well, other communities want the same validation for their community. And, you know, you don't have to agree with them, but we should be open minded. Like, we want people to be open minded about cannabis. It's the same thing. You know what I mean?
I like
And
that.
yeah, so my biggest thing through mental health and clarity throughout this year is that's full. Is the fact that um, I want to be the light and guide for those who can't do it for themselves. Because there's a lot of
Right.
great people in the world. However, not everybody is designed to, break down walls. Some people just like to walk through doors. You know what I mean? So it's one
Yep.
of those things where I'm taking it upon myself to say, well, what have I really done in the cannabis space other than have a podcast, other than, go on tour last year and, grow a lot of weed? What are the true implications of a true advocate and somebody that's really about the community and the value of we get more by building more. And so many people in this community, and you see it all the time, they just want to discredit you. They want to put you down. People want you to be successful, just not more successful than they are. And that's the truth.
Right.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And it's unfortunate because we all want this plant, but yet, like Free My Weed Man said, Crystal, she said, honestly, I just feel like nowadays the plant's made to divide us and it's used to weaponize against us. You know what I mean? Versus
Yeah.
the true balance of community. And just like that, you have people, and yes, I get it that I was doing Mad Man Plant, so I was doing Avatar, but that influencer they said that didn't really use his real voice is when you build a persona, your persona should be authentic and genuine and you. If you
Yep.
use fake language or voices, eventually people are gonna meet you and they're not gonna know, like you said, it's not real. And that's why I'd rather take the time, grow slow, and and try to figure it out and have respect versus the fact of trying to put something together fly by night and then in 6 months I'm no longer around like you see so many people do.
Yeah. You know, you helped me kick off my fourth season here, and I was talking to a couple other bigger than I say in the industry creators. And I had a very important good friend of mine, a local creator that's been in the industry as a podcaster for over 10 years. I'm not going to throw his name out there, but he said to me, he said, if you can make it to year 4 and make it through, you're not going nowhere. He said, most people don't make it to year 4. He said, you should be proud of what you've done. And I never heard that from somebody that I've looked up to, and it's hard for me to take compliments like that, but to know that I've worked hard on this show, and it's mental health for me as well, and this plant has done so much for me as well that I can relate to how that is. You got to be genuine because if you're not, you might not be here tomorrow, and that's what I want to be here. I love what I do, and that's definitely, unfortunately, when you were on tour, I couldn't make it out there, and I regret it to this day because I was really looking forward to meeting you in the flesh.
Well, I really appreciate that, and you do a great job, and I've watched you grow and thrive and really work. Plus you work a lot, and you have to dedicate time to this and
Definitely.
whatever. And that's the thing, it's like the power of getting what you want is just straight discipline and to be able to be consistent over and over again until you actually get what you want. And the problem, and like my philosophy with Madman Plant is, how can you grow a great garden if you can't grow a great human? And the fact that,
Wow. Yeah.
no,
That's deep, man. That's definitely deep.
sorry, my asthma kicks
No,
in,
you're good. You're good. I remember. Hey,
and and
you
the
take every minute you need.
And the concept is most people like instant gratification. And what do our plants represent? Instant gratification. Within 9 to 3 months or more, I can have a harvest. And and all my hard work pays off. when I talk about my life, 3 to 9 years, I may not see that change right away, and that's discouraging. So most
Right.
people, I feel like they focus on things that are easy to achieve, but they're not focusing on things that they need to focus on, like mental health, clarity, themselves, traumas, PTSD, all these things that rob people of who they are because they don't want to face things like that. And
Right.
that's also the unfortunate part is, you know, we keep ourselves in the dark, and we shouldn't do that. We should be able to recognize the value of reaching out, getting help, having the right people in your corner, having people that are actually pushing themselves, that want to be somewhere in life. So many people are just, in my opinion, are just lost, and they just want to, whatever works for them, they'll take the first ride out of town. And you shouldn't do that. You should really
Right.
pregame and put together and strategize.
Absolutely. I've always said, if I'm the smartest one, if I'm the smartest one in the room, I'm in the wrong room. And a lot of people ask me, what I mean by that. And what I mean by that, in my personal opinion, is, if I can't learn from the people that I'm surrounding myself by, I'm not surrounded by the right people, because
Yep.
I, I always can better myself as a person, I feel like. And there's always a way to be better, not just for you, but for the people that surround you. And there's always a way, it costs nothing to be kind. That's what I tell everybody, and that's, at the end of the day, that's what you're doing for a lot of people. The way you compared the cannabis industry and the voice, excuse me, of speaking and being heard is the same as the LGBT. You know, it took it took what you just said for me to actually get that clarity and realize that, I've got my sisters are part of that community. I'm not personally a part of it, but they are, and I support them and I love them as people, and you know, at the end of the day, we are all people. We all have a voice, and we all want it to be heard, and we want to be accepted for who we are. So that's amazing that you're putting something on like that and creating a safe haven for that type of community, but tying two communities together.
Well, yeah, if you think about it, cannabis doesn't discriminate. Cannabis doesn't choose black or white, male or female. It's universal. And
Right.
and when you have a community that draws so many people together, how come it's like it's just about taboo and this level of acceptance. And I think the problem is a lot of people aren't comfortable with themselves. So to accept outside ideas or opinions or thought process or realities is very difficult, because if I can't see you for who you are and appreciate you for who you are and accept that, how can I ever be in the same room with you and feel comfortable? You know what I mean? And that's
Right.
not a you problem. That would have been a me problem, because I'm not the one that's comfortable. You're living your life, doing your thing.
Absolutely. I can relate to that just on an anxiety level. I mean, just a prime example from this week. I have a barber I've been going to for 2 years, and I have alopecia, so my hair falls
Yep,
out. So
yep.
I get anxiety in barber shops when there's a lot of people, because, well, when I take my hat off, I feel like a lot of people are staring. It's just how I feel. So in order for me to be calm, I have to not only tell my story of what I went through to the barber to kind of bring him up to speed, but that's my way of recovery. And at the same time, I got to make sure I'm comfortable. And I met a new barber this week, because my barber, unfortunately, he has set hours and he doesn't obey by his own set hours. He like shows up when he wants to. And some days you might be sitting in the parking lot for an hour or two, wondering where he's at after he opened here. And, it's like, well, I can't, I can't depend on that. So I can relate to these people because I know what it's like to be uncomfortable, especially in the public setting. And that's not always the fun. So, it's great that you put that stigma to rest and let people have that comfortability.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, we're supposed to be in this together. So,
Absolutely. Yes. So, what do you got going on? You got a garden going right now? I mean, is there
oh
anything
yeah,
growing?
so yeah, I have my one garden going that's about to finish out, and then I'm about to start my grow series, and that'll be back in my
Okay.
lab. And
Heck yeah.
yeah, so I have a couple of big sponsors that I'll be announcing tomorrow, and we're going to be doing some heavy work together. Um, I don't know if are you coming to the American Autoflower Cup?
I'm familiar and I've reached out to them. They've asked me if I wanted to come out, but I'm going to be honest. I'm not in a financial situation where I can afford it right now. So, I'm still trying to get footing and trying to get ahead in life. And I'm hoping someday to make it out there in the flesh. But I support it 110% because, unlike some of the growers I know, that are mostly photo period, or you got guys that are only auto flower. I'm both. I don't
Yep, yep.
mind. I don't mind either or, and I actually prefer autos. And I wanted to go out there and meet everybody and hang out, and such a great community over there. And I'm hoping maybe next year. Maybe next year I'll be in a good enough position. Same thing
Well,
with MJ Biz. So,
well, we've all been there, and
yep,
it's one of those things where, as a business owner, I ebb and flow with being able to do things and then having to save and being able to be patient and wait, and that's strategy. And then in the day, and
absolutely,
that's the most important thing is like you're taking care of you, and sometimes. Like this year, I'm not going to be nearly traveling as much. Last year we did 15 states. This
wow.
year I'll probably be doing like 5 states, and mainly just because one, my business is picking up, and two, it's just hard to do that. That was a lot of work, and I had a lot of fun. But the ability to stay here and teach and be able to do the same thing with sponsorship and everything like that just works out. With the American Autoflower Cup, what I was going to say was we're doing a very special event, a whole mental health panel. So maybe
Wow.
if you're able to come out next year, you could be on that panel with me.
I would love to.
Well, that's what I'm
Absolutely.
saying. And my thing is this. You live in Michigan, right?
Yep.
See,
Yep.
you guys have events all the time. In Virginia, we don't have events like you guys do. So you're already fucking lucky that you're already in like the heart of cannabis. See, Virginia,
Absolutely.
we don't even have recreational, and that's fucking annoying. Like when we were in Grand Rapids, Michigan last year, we went to Jars and Dispensary, and for
Oh, they're
50
terrible.
bucks. What? I thought they were great for $50. I got diamonds. Now it was BHO, but $50 for 5 grams, and it was amazing. So
Right. I can relate, but let me put it into perspective why I say they're terrible, and then you'll understand my perspective.
okay,
So, being in Michigan, we are kind of like California and Colorado, We're like just flooded with it. And we let so many licenses out just in my city alone. I have 26 dispensaries for a city that's probably, I don't even know what the population would be, but let's say 50,000, and for us, everybody had a race to the bottom dollar, and they didn't care if they were losing profit. In my city alone, when 2025 hit, 10 of them dispensaries did not renew their licenses. 3 of them filed bankruptcy. And it's literally popping up like a donut shop on every corner. And now our governor is not the greatest when it comes to spending money, and not to talk politics,
that's
but
funny.
she took all the money that us taxpayers paid in to fix our roads, because we got the worst roads in the United States. I promise you we do. And she spent all the money. So
That's funny.
the tax people are pissed, excuse my language, but this is organically blunt. And
Uh,
long story short, so she comes this year, and Trump, not to talk politics again, but puts her on a panel to see if she can do her job. And now she wants to raise our marijuana tax to 32%. Why? Because she wants to take that tax to fix the roads, because she already spent the money to try to fix the roads the first time. And now she's going to tax the marijuana industry because it's so booming in Michigan. And now everything's a race to the bottom dollar. And a lot of these companies, they spent the money they borrowed and they couldn't make even their monthly lease payment, and they're shutting their doors. And it's like, well, that's because you guys oversaturated the market. Like, you allowed too many licenses, in my opinion. There should be some, but I don't feel it should be literally so saturated that we have a neighborhood, we call it the Green Mile, and it's literally a mile of nothing but dispensaries, one right after another, and there's like 15 in a row, and you're like, what one do I go to? What one is good? How do I choose? I mean, it's not good. And then a lot of it is remediated, and that's not good in my opinion neither. But, I'm not saying I'm against the market. I'm just saying, it's oversaturated here. And that's my own opinion from living here. But jars, I have shopped there myself, honestly, and I'm not going to lie to you.
Now, I feel the same way. See, this guy right here, this is Governor Youngkin, and
Okay.
he's a Virginia governor, and he is the reason why Virginia cannabis is not legal for recreational sales. See, we have medical, but the I personally love home growing
Yep.
because you cut out the middleman, and
Absolutely.
for what you can grow, like my last harvest in a 4x8 was about 5 pounds. Imagine trying to buy
Wow.
5 pounds at a dispensary, right?
Woo-hoo.
You're not. That's a lot of money when
Yeah.
you can just know what you're doing in the garden and be able to really produce. I don't sell. I don't do black
Me
market. I'm
neither,
not
right?
CBD. I'm literally in education, motivation, and inspiration. I do this as a
Yep.
hobby because I own a production company, so I've done that way longer than cannabis. But Mr. Governor Youngkin, unfortunately, says that cannabis is bad for mental health and that it causes more accidents on the road. It's like, huh? Well, I
Wow.
don't remember the bars on New Year's Eve saying, "Hey, we're really worried about drinking and driving, so we're just gonna go around to tables just making sure that everybody's okay and not over drinking." No, they don't do that, and that's the problem with this society is we condone one poison like alcohol, which causes accident-related deaths, accidents in the workplace, insurance, uh, drunk driving, domestic abuse, all this stuff. But hey, we're nowhere near outlawing alcohol and saying that if alcohol is out of hand and people are dying because of alcoholism, no, we're saying, well, alcohol's been around for so long, we can't just outlaw it. But was there a prohibition, just like there was with cannabis, where alcohol is not cool? I mean, we still have the United States where we have wet counties, dry counties, um, and then there's like half and half. When I went to the Jack Daniel's distillery in Tennessee, I mean,
Yep.
you can't even buy alcohol in
Nope.
that part of Tennessee. But here's the fucking distillery. Like, tell me how all this makes sense. You know what I mean? Like,
Right. My cousins live in Arkansas, Gentry, Arkansas. It's where Little Debbie's made. They're known for two things in the town: Little Debbie and a rubber manufacturer called Gates. And it's a Seventh Day Adventist town, one blinking light, and it's a dry county. There's no tobacco there. There's no cigarettes. I mean, not cigarettes, alcohol, and there's no lotto. And it's
Uh,
still like that to this day. And it's so crazy because you go 5 miles down the road and you're in Oklahoma, and Oklahoma is legal for everything, so everybody just goes to Oklahoma.
huh. It's like,
Yep.
we're going to Oklahoma. They got everything.
So you say you're going to do about 5 states this year. What ones are we looking forward to?
Well, I'm going to be going to Vegas, obviously, for Everyday BizCon. I'm trying to go in April for NAB, which is National Audio Broadcast Show, which is my industry of video production. I have American Auto Cup coming up in LA, and then I may be going to Oregon because that's where one of my sponsors is located. But he may actually come here. I also may be going out to Miami. They have
Oh wow.
it's called Cannadelic, and it's like a psychedelic reform. It's the first one in Miami this time.
Wow.
So that might happen, and then I don't know exactly where else. The goal this year is to really focus on growing and education and building my online e-course. So it's not so much being on the road, because being on the road was a great experience, but for what I'm trying to do and the work I'm trying to provide, it's I'm trying to really just focus in on the real things that actually move things forward. And now that I've built that national presence, I can really leverage that experience from last year going forward. So
Absolutely. I'm slowly branching out myself. I've gone to a few events now in Illinois. I'm looking to go to Ohio. Indiana is never going to probably have an event that I've heard of. If you know of any, let me know, because Indiana is like the hardest place. I don't even think they're legal on anything. I might be wrong. I don't know. I don't pay attention. But you know, I haven't done anything out that way, but I've been to a few down by Chicago now, and it does remind me down there a lot of Michigan's pre-prohibition. Where we had events before it was fully recreational, but the problem was the cops would always show up and shut them down, even and because of so many people, and they'd use the thing like fire code as an reason to shut it down, or lots of reasons. But and that's what happened down there to the first event I went to. Was we got there, we were packed in with my buddy's soil company, Country Roots, and we didn't have any product on our table, thankfully. But fire marshal came in and shut it down. So it was like 2 hours into the event, and some of these people traveled from Michigan, Pennsylvania, Indiana, Wisconsin, Minnesota, and they had to drive home after 2 hours of an event. And it's like, man, that stinks. So it's I can definitely see where you're kind of annoyed with your state's position right now.
yeah, it's unfortunate because just like if they allowed it, that could be $300 million a year in tax revenue. That could be for schools and roads and education and all these things. And I think the biggest thing is, it's like, until they can protect their investment and figure out how it works for them, we're kind of being like in limbo. And also, Governor Youngkin has unfortunately said that he has no interest in hearing any more things, even though it keeps going to his desk and just keeps getting vetoed. So But
Definitely.
that's part of advocacy, and that's part of you're not going to get your way unless you're consistent and persistent about it, and you can get on their level and help bring difference and understanding. It's kind of like one of those things where you can't just try to yell at them and command them to understand. It's gonna have to be through experience or relationship or something like that that makes people open their eyes.
Right. Definitely. So you just finished up a grow, you say?
Yeah, I'm about to
What?
finish up the Mississippi hippie. It's by
Okay.
Love It in Her Eyes, and then we just did some bubble washing today. We did my booty clapper, which is the ones that came out like fucking
Man, that's
monsters.
chunky. Holy shit. Yeah.
Oh
That's
yeah,
beautiful.
I have tons of them. It's super dense. Um, so
I'm looking forward to seeing that content. We've been running a 4x2 tent that I do autoflowers in, and I made it fully AI automated, hands off. And the biggest reason I did it was I had a lot of people come to me, even on a local standpoint, and say, I can't grow it because I don't know how. And it's like, that's not an excuse. You got to be willing to learn, because if you don't try, you can't say that you don't know how because you never tried.
well, I think that's the problem with society is, I think it always lands me in hot water when I say this, but it is what it is. I think there's a lot of weak-minded people, and I think a lot of people sometimes want answers and solutions just handed to them. They're like, "I'll wait here," and one day somebody with lottery tickets will be like, "Hey, you want to win the lottery? Here you go. You should be successful and do whatever you want." And the value of it is everything's an investment. When you buy the tent, when you buy the
Right.
lights, when you buy the seeds, you're investing in yourself. Why are you going to fall short on the education and the true value of knowing what you're doing and enjoying the true process? Instead, you're just going to be like, I'm going to do just enough to not have to do much. And why isn't my plant growing right? And why isn't this happening? And, I don't know how to do this. It's like, well, first of all, this plant is a weed, right? So it's not even like a real flower. And second of all, you can cut its head off and it'll still continue to grow. So it's not you and the plant having an issue because you don't know how to grow. It's just like dog training. It's not you training the dog to work with you. It's you training yourself to work with the animal, right? And you're the
Right.
educated one. The dog doesn't know any better, so you need to get on the dog's level and get the dog to understand and listen. By understanding. That's how it's created. And I think a lot of people are just like, well, that's too hard. I'm just going to accept life, and maybe I'm just not good at it, and I'll just go to the dispensary and give instead of giving myself the gift of growing.
Yep. And that's what they said too. They were like, I think I'll just go to the dispensary. And I'm like, no, let me teach you. Like, I'll even send you
Yeah.
seeds. Like, let me teach you, please, because it's going to be better for you in the end. And some people just aren't willing to put in the effort. And it, it, it's not that hard. I mean, it can be complicated, but it can be easy too, in my opinion.
When
It
I
just
first
depends
started,
on,
good.
I was just going to say, it depends on how in depth you want to get with it.
When I first started growing, true story, it was like 4 years ago. 4 years ago, I only knew about smoking weed, and I started smoking at 23. I'm turning 36 on Monday, so it
Wow.
hasn't even been that long. Anyways, I've been growing for 4 years, and when I first grew my first plant, I didn't even know where the bud was going to come from. I thought you smoked the leaves and you collected the leaves. So that's how ignorant I was. But when you invest in yourself, you put yourself forward, you allow yourself to grow and thrive, you now do very well for yourself, and you wind up something like this. And it's
Yep.
not like I'm the best girl in the world, because I'm absolutely not. I'm still very new. There's still things, a lot of things I don't know. But like you said, when you're not the smartest person in the room, you learn. So I get around other people who know more than me. So it's okay that maybe I don't know everything, but I have really good friends who do.
Yep.
Like when I did the bubble washing day, my friend from Connecticut came down and actually gave me the bubble washing system and then helped me run it. And if it worked for him,
Wow.
I wouldn't know what I'd be doing with it. But that's the level of growing together and thriving together and being in a community and saying, hey, let me get you to that level. Let me teach you so you can make better decisions. You can make better flour for yourself. And if we talk about it in a medicine sense or a relief sense or whatever you use cannabis for, that should be monumental.
Right. Yeah. I learned how to do the washing firsthand, not doing it, but I had to film a whole class and we got it on our channel. It's about an hour and a half long. But the
So
guy
there you go.
is really known locally for it. And he ended up getting a job. I don't know where, but for one big, massive manufacturer. And he didn't want to let anybody know because he didn't want the two industries to cross, I guess you'd say. But you know, he taught a lot, and it was amazing to learn it and be able to understand how it worked because I honestly had no clue up until I watched it done in front of me. So I can relate to, you got to have somebody that's more experienced to kind of lead the way.
Mhm. Yeah. It
Definitely.
shouldn't be so intimidating. A good leader and somebody that's good at understanding is okay with other people that are better, making decisions and showing how it's done, and letting them do things. And that's the thing, is I think there's a lot of insecurity when it comes to community, because we all want to be the best. Nobody wants to have swag weed or whatever.
Right. So have you ever considered, I know it's a thing going on right now, that's why I'm asking. Have you ever thought about going to Spanibus?
Yes, I plan next year.
Okay.
That is a goal, because I also want to get to Australia.
Oh wow.
Because in Victoria they just legalized cannabis.
Okay. I didn't
Yep.
know that. I'm actually sending out the guy who won our 25 pack seed giveaway from Fast Buds that I just did.
Well, that's cool.
I He is in Australia and he's like, I only opened it up for people like that if they're willing to pay the shipping. And he was like, I'll pay the shipping. I'm used to paying it from the United States. And I'm like, well, how do I ship it to you? And he's like, just put it in a DVD case. And I'm like, okay, I can do that, but they're not going to take it from you. No, they won't look that bad. But now that to know that there's an area that's legal for it, it kind of makes you hope that the rest of the country follows suit.
I think it will. I think it's still a matter of time, but by more acceptance, more awareness, more companies, more products, more services, more success, I think that'll change.
Absolutely. Man, that would be cool to go. I know a lot of people over there that's going to Spanibus, but man, I don't even know the first thing about getting a passport, to be honest.
It's pretty easy. Passport you get at the post office.
Wow, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Okay.
you can go to the post office, or just figure out you get your photo taken, and then you just submit the paperwork.
Okay. Yeah, good to know. Man, that would be cool. Definitely. Well, I want to ask a few more things before we get to the hour mark here, and that is, what do you got going on with you right now? I mean, personally, as I know you're finishing up the harvest and you're getting ready to travel, but what are you going to do in between for the next couple months before you get put back on the road here?
Well, I own a couple businesses, so I'm pretty busy just running then. I mean, I pretty much have Madman Plant, I have my production company, and then I have my family. So if I'm not
Sure.
growing, I'm working. If I'm not working, I'm hanging out with my family. Unless I'm on the road, I kind of live a very boring life.
Right. Yeah, me too. Work home, work home. That's me.
Yep.
And I can definitely relate to that. So, with that being said, before I let you go here, I want to ask you one question that we always ask. I know you've answered it before, but you could have a different answer this time. So, we got to ask the question that Organically Blunt is famous for. And that is, if you could smoke with anybody dead or alive, who would it be and why?
Um, that's I don't know. That's hard. I guess it would be cool to smoke with my dad because he does not smoke and he is very straight edge. And
Okay.
I keep trying to convince him as he gets older. I'm like, you should just smoke or do CBD, and he tries to deny it. But I found out the other day that he's been looking into it, so maybe we'll get lucky one day.
Absolutely. That'd be cool. I got to smoke with my grandfather before he passed, and I
Oh,
still
that's
cherish
awesome.
that moment because I didn't know it. We always grew the plant, but we grew hemp, and my family was known for growing hemp, and they had a hemp license here in Michigan.
Nice.
But,
Okay.
you know, they never did it for the flower or anything like that. And my grandfather, when I was in high school, I found his old office desk. And I'm like, Grandpa, I thought you said you didn't smoke. Well, no, he didn't smoke flower. He smoked hash. And I was like, well,
Okay.
okay, I didn't know that. But, before he passed, he had a lot of cancer and other things. And he hit my elbow one day and he said, let me hit that. And I'm looking at him like, are you okay, old man? And he's like, yeah, I got some pain and I want to see if it'll help. And then after that, he was starting to smoke, and I was shocked. An 80-year-old man, wanting to smoke it when there was so much stigma around it in his eras. It showed how far we have came with the plant.
Yeah, and I think also shows the fact that with understanding comes curiosity, and I think with curiosity comes the ability to try new things. And
Absolutely.
I think society, and that's why breaking taboos and really helping people understand communities and diversities and everything is very important because it allows for the ability for people to become accepting. And I think that's a hard thing, especially if you're not taught to appreciate or understand. The things are different.
Definitely. Well, before I let you go here, when are you going to be dropping this Grow series? What can we expect from you on your YouTube channel in the next coming weeks? And where can people find you?
Okay, well, people can find me at madmanplant.com. You can just type in Madman Plant on Google, and we're all on all social media platforms. As far as the Grow series, I'm still waiting on the actual units and all the equipment from the companies, which will be set up upstairs in my grow room. It'll be a weekly Grow series episode that I'll put on YouTube, and then at the very end, we'll edit one full Grow series from start to finish, like a seed to harvest. So we're going to be
Very nice.
focusing on deep water culture. So for those who want to mix
Wow.
the soil and get a little bit faster growing, and this is an automated system that's for deep water culture, which the system is not out yet. So I'm pretty much going to be showing it off, and it's going to be really cool. And it makes deep water culture very easy. And we'll be doing that, and then we'll have a whole bunch of segments. We'll be going in depth about everything. Two of my friends, GI Genetics, and my friend Ado for Grow 10, he made black cheesecake, and my friend made
Ooh,
the tropical trooper. So I'm going to be running those two crosses in it. And then other than that, I think a couple sponsors, the owners of the company are going to come here to be part of the Grow Series. So a lot of things are going to be happening. So just be following along. Tomorrow I'll make my official announcement. So you'll get to understand and see who those companies are. And it's going to be go time.
awesome. Well, I appreciate you coming on the show. You're welcome back
Yeah.
anytime. If you need
Sam,
to
let's
ever,
get you online.
absolutely. I'm always welcome. I think what we need to do with you, I'd love to show some of my outdoor stuff with you guys once the
Yeah.
season kicks off. Um, I'm getting ready to get the outdoor plot going.
Hell
We're
yeah.
19 days away from spring, and I'm gonna start popping the seeds here. I know a lot of people start them sooner in the year, but I kind of start them mid-March. And I got to get out there once the snow's gone, and I got a treat for Japanese beetle. I'm going to be putting some milky spore down in my plot area to help get rid of them. And as time goes, with milky spore, you guys can look into it more if you're interested. It is a really effective way to fight Japanese beetles. And as time goes on, it builds a better tolerance against them. So, you know, I've learned about it from my soil guys. I can't tell you a whole lot, but as we get into it this upcoming season, I will educate more on that myself. So, that's what I'm going to be working on.
That's awesome. Yeah, we'll definitely follow along. I'll definitely share it on my story, and really looking forward to see how that turns out. I've never done outdoor. I'm more of an indoor grower, but
Sure.
that's a huge challenge. And once I get I live in a townhouse, so once I get a house with land, I'm going to take the outdoor challenge and grow a 12-foot monster just to see what that looks
Oh,
like.
absolutely. I live in a neighborhood too, so I can't really do a whole lot here. I do a couple small ones, and the neighbors, they don't mind, they don't care. I'm in a senior citizen community.
Nice.
A lot of people are like, "How did you get in there?" Well, long story short, somebody passed away, the family stripped the house, and they owed money to the community, and the community put it up for sale, and I just so happened to have what they were asking in cash, and I paid it in full, so they couldn't say no,
Yeah.
and here I am. I'm surrounded by senior citizens, and they think it's a skunk most of the time, and it's funny, but my neighbor came across the other day, and he says, "I knew what you grew out there in the yard last year." I said, "Hey, it don't say nothing against it in our lease here, because I own the house. I just don't own the land." And
Yeah.
he's like, "Yeah, you got a good point." He's like, and I'm like, "Well, I'm a medical patient too, so there's not a whole lot they can do." That's like telling a diabetic they can't have their insulin, and
Yes.
it don't work like that. So, you know, with that being said, if you can't stay lit, stay organically blunt, and you're welcome back anytime. Have the great night, and once again, thank you for coming on the show.
See you, my dude.
Yeah. Oh, can I, yeah. Yeah, we keep it tight. Growing with the best. Keeping it right. Shout out to the partners helping us grow. From the soil to the light, yeah, you already know. Grow bags keep it fresh, just put it in the bag. Seeds, man, got the seeds, never running a lag. No community without you and I. Drop a like, hit subscribe, let's vibe real high. Light LED, make the garden shine. Grassroots beds, keep the roots in line. Humboldt got the terps, fast buds coming fast. Atlas seeds outdoor, built to last. Stay organically blunt, keep the vibes real. One love, one plant, yeah, you know the deal.